Well, hi, good morning. Thanks so much for spending more time with me here in my shop. Well, I'm going to go the next step with this radio, which is basically to finish the alignment on the AM band. But one of the things I'm going to have to pay attention to is this antenna, which basically just needs some new wires hooked up to it, I think, to replace these because the insulation's cracked. Once that's done, then we can just get on with the alignment, which, cross my fingers, should be pretty straightforward at this point. So I'm going to start off with that antenna there. Okay, let's just take a look here and make sure we're not overlooking something. Some damage has occurred. Looks pretty minor, really. There it is, the General Electric Beamoscope, designed for better reception. Hey honey, as I mentioned before, honey, look, no aerial, no ground required, no ugly wires. So nothing unusual about this guy. Now, it's really, you really don't want to take this apart. I mean, it's all riveted and stapled together. It'd be a mess taking it apart, but you know, if you had to, you could. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to nip these wires here. Oh, this one's really cracking. These two, not so bad. This one's hooked up. I thought it was hooked up to this, but it's actually just going through the hole there. So, before I break more insulation off, let's get this wire off of here. And leave lots of excess wire right now. And we'll look at the other end here. This is a very simple kind of plug. Wires are just shoved in it. Let's see what's under this tape. So he's insulated one of them, and the others I guess he thought were in good shape, whoever he was. Okay, so I'm going to cut this here. Oops. So the wires are individual now, and I can pull on them one at a time to pull them out of the socket, back out of the socket. Okay. Sometimes I can't see what's right in front of me here. Okay. That's interesting. So that hiss you just heard is a CB radio. I just set up here in my shop last night. See it way up here. Can you kind of see it? There it is, channel 6. This little radio here. One of my yard sale buys. Some time ago I was working on a tube CB radio in here, and I had no other CB radios to kind of compare it to, or so wouldn't you know it, at a yard sale, what am I doing with this? Doing this. With a yard sale, I saw a bucket with a CB radio in it. I asked the person, what do you want for that? He said, whole bucket, everything in it, $15. I look a little closer. It's not one CB radio, there's 3 of them. Antenna, microphones, everything appears to be there. So I asked him, well, why they got 3 CB radios? It was my dad's. He passed away now. He had a Yeah, not my dad. This is what the guy told me. Had a motorcycle and wanted to put CBs on all of them. So okay, $15. Here you go. Bring it home. It's 3 CB radios. 2 of them hardly used. I'm sure hardly used. Of course, it's a CB radio. Who's using them today? And 1 still brand new in the box, never been taken out. So for $15, I got 3 CB radios. They're not even old. They're really quite new. So, oddly enough, one of the things I enjoy hearing, not really listening to, but I enjoy hearing it, is the skip that happens on CB radio. And what I've discovered, since I have 3 of these, guess what? I've got another one. I picked a 4th one up for $2 last weekend. So what in heaven's name do you want a 4th one for? Well, I got it for $2 to begin with, but secondly, it was part of a larger deal. And thirdly, I thought it had single sideband on it because it had a lot of knobs on the front. I didn't want to look too close. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Turns out it's just a regular CB with a lot of knobs on the front. Actually, it's a classic. It's a Cobra. I can't remember. It's 29 something or other. Cobra. So I've become Mr. CB Radio here. And what do you hear on a CB radio? You hear skip. What I've discovered is these days, and maybe this has been true for 30 years, I don't know, the guys who run CB radios with extra power hang around on channel 6. And on channel 6, come on. It doesn't much matter what the conditions are. There we go. You can almost always hear these crazy guys, kooky skip guys. Not always, but very often on channel 6. So I threw one here in the shop last night. It's got a lousy antenna on it. I don't know if it's going to really pick anything up. And that's what started making noise when I turned on my soldering iron. My soldering iron must emit some amount of radio noise, I guess. Now, these ones are pretty good here, these wires. Ugh. I didn't so much cut that off as I crushed it off. Pretty good as generous. This one is just falling apart here. It looks like a little metal sleeve around these holes. This one has this bare connection going through it. I think it's bare. If this wire shorts to the ring will short to this. But this wire's not cracked nearly as bad as, let's say, this one. So I think we're good here. And I think what I want to do, try to slide a little shrink sleeve up there. What would be a nice color? It's got to get over top of that, but inside the hole. This is the same size. Let's try it. If it were shrunk, it would go in, but once it shrinks, it's not going anywhere. Oh, there it goes. Excellent. Okay, so this will work. Just to isolate it away a little bit there. This is the one that's probably important. I don't have to worry so much about it, actually. I don't think there's anything here to worry about, really. But stick this in. I think I got a shorter piece already. This nice blue piece. It's going to do it. Perfect. Good. So now I want to get I need 3 wires the same length as this guy here. Okay, I'll go find some cabling here. Okay, how about this? This is going to work good. 3 different colors. Twist it up a little bit. Cabled up. To sort out which is which later. So this is blue, I can see that. This is green, I can see the green, and plus it's falling apart. Green wires tend to fall apart. Put the green on the green one. Put the colored one on the colored one. Put the one in the middle on the gray. How about that? Doesn't that sound great? Shrink sleeve on them all. Shrink sleeve all around. That's going to be too small. Okay. Green on the green. How about blue on the blue? And the last color, I don't know what it is. Go black on the last. Okay. Slide those on. This is usually the stuff I forget right here. Green on the green. Colored one on the colored one. And the last one on the last one. Okay. Slide the shrink sleeve away. Good. Hot, 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 hot. Waiting for the temperature to come up. Okay. Okay, that's a little like watching paint dry. Now the other end. Where did they're all open to the top. The idea is to make this long enough to go all the way through, pop out the top. But these wires may not fit. May not pop out the top. Yeah, it's not open enough. And that hole may not be big enough for this size wire to come through. That's okay though. Cut them too long. A little bit. There's my other pliers. There are flat ones in here, and they're a little tricky to use at times. Might put down a mess. Where's my other ones go? Yikes. Okay, we'll try these. Yeah, flat too. Now we got to get the right wire into the right spot on here. So that's not necessarily a completely easy thing to do. So I'm going to study up on the information I've got here on the radio and see if I can't find a key to figure this out. Okay, well I did find a reference here in the documentation. And this diagram right here shows the loop antenna. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually show where the wires connect, what position they connect in, but it shows the colors. So I know what the colors are coming back from here. I'm able to see them over here. So I'll be able to arrange the colors into the little socket here properly. No problem. So, be a problem if I could. Let's just do that. Okay. Now, get the little guy here. So, leaving this the way it is in the diagram. Green goes to the top one. Green is green. Green goes to the top one. Like so. I should solder this. I'm going to try anyway. It's going to be a little difficult. I think I'm better off doing this the other way around. I got this track. Green is this one. Correct. Green is that one. Now the trick is getting solder up inside here. Push the wire right through. The wire sticking out. Get the solder to travel down the wire. Pull the wire back a bit. You get some solder inside. I think that's going to be. I don't think that's going to work. So I'm going to try something I've never done before. Just an idea popped into my head. Stick some solder up there. Stick this in after it. There we go. Look at that. See that? I turned on my soldering iron and the CB made a little sound there. You need a little solder bridging the soldering iron to the piece you're heating up so the heat will travel fast enough to raise the temperature. But then you got problems with solder on the outside here. Oh, don't fall out, wire. Stay in. You're good. Give it lots of time. Got it. Okay, and next one, along the one in the middle is the black. The black is the gray. I like my stick a piece of solder in idea. Okay, and the gray wire. guess when it's melted in there? I guess now. Got him. Okay, last one. Bingo. Bingo. That's the term. Okay, now got a little bit of excess solder, of course, on there. Okay, here we go. Bring this guy again. Way up here, way the heck up here. Okay. In. This way. You know what? I don't need to plug it into this awkward way. The next step of the alignment process takes place, everything else takes place above. Nothing takes place underneath. So it's time to tip this guy back. And also I need to get those buttons plugged in properly. I think they are actually plugged in properly, but I need to double check that before I go any further. I'm afraid that's the closest I ever get to finding gold in a radio. Not very close. Oh, look at that. There's some gold. Okay, so before I flip it down, I'm going to put that nut on and we'll get it all set up here for the alignment process. Okay, I think we're just about ready to go. So just double check. I got the push buttons plugged in here. I've got the 3 other wires plugged in back here. So the push button thing's good to go, but we don't really need to be concerned about this guy until I'm doing shortwave stuff, I think. No, actually these are all preset buttons for AM. So anyway, we won't have to worry about these right now. Just to make sure they're connected correctly, that's all. And the antenna's plugged in up here. And you can see I've arranged the camera here and it's fixed to the chassis. So camera goes with the radio, and a little hard to see in the current camera, but I fixed a pointer up here, so I'll show you how that's done, or how I did it anyway. So now you're looking through that camera, and you're looking at the back of the tuning wheel. There's a yellow wire I've installed to point at this scale as instructed. You're supposed to do this. And the radio is currently at one extreme. That's the extreme. See, I've lined up the pointer on the 0. Actually got it pretty good too. So something curious that's in the view of the camera right now is a word that's written on the back of that plate. And what does that say? Does that say reverse? There's another word on it just behind the... oh, you really can't read it at all. Why would somebody pencil something onto the back of this? I can't quite read it. It looks like R, U, I don't know. Reverse is my guess. I don't know. So right away there's a problem with the alignment. So the very first step, very first step, let's take a look at this together here. Calibration scale on indicator drive core drum. The indicator drive core drum is what they call the big wheel in there. The tuning dial is fastened in the cabinet, cannot be used for reference. Therefore, a calibration scale is attached to the back of the tuning drum. The setting of the gain condenser is read on the scale, calibrated in degrees, correct, blah, blah. As the first step in RF alignment, check the position of the drum. This is the part that's looks to me to not be right. The 0% mark on the drum scale must be vertical and directly above the center of the shaft of the tuning drum when the plates are fully meshed. The drum is held to the shaft by means of 2 set screws. Must be tightened securely. So, I've looked at this on so many radios, but look at this one. So the shaft, let's just take a look. The shaft is marked by this adjustment right here. This is the end of the shaft. Shaft goes straight through, meets the center of the wheel down here where you can't quite see it. And this 0 point, where there's a rivet right through the 0 here, should be aligned directly above the shaft. I'd say it's not. I would say it is not aligned directly above the shaft. Let's see if I can make it even more dramatic here. I may not be able to. Okay, so the edge of this stick is right on the center of the shaft. I'm holding it vertical. You can see it is lining up with that screw, the screw tension adjustment here. Look at how far out it is. So I've never encountered a radio like this. They've all been perfectly lined up. So what happened here? They booped up in the factory? So this radio has had a number of alignment. Well, I don't know yet what the number is. The IF appeared to be way off. For all I know, the pointer is way off on the string, and this is way off also, and all this has been done in some kind of effort on purpose to get this radio somewhere. What am I supposed to do now? Should I straighten that up? It's fully 5 degrees off. You know, I've never ever loosened off these set screws on a radio like this. square, of course. Now, is there any way I can tell that these have been adjusted somehow? That somebody's done something with them? Kinda don't think so. You know, wow. Or did this slide on, is this loose on the shaft? Let me try and, okay, we're at the, get it to the limit here. Ooh, that feels as solid as can be. Yeah, there's no movement there. There's no hope of pushing this past the stop with the string and the front tuning thing. There's just no way you get any kind of power like that on this. So it certainly didn't slide. It's just been wrong from the start. Wrong from day one. Or does somebody in the factory know that if you line this up straight, you get into trouble? I can't believe that. So I'm trying to convince myself this was not done on purpose. You know, last time I fiddled with something in this radio that didn't seem to be corrected. It turned out to be a big goose chase, or what? I think I gotta follow the instructions. I don't know how you can't. How can you not follow the instructions? Now, how am I gonna get that loose? I gotta get a nice tool onto this. Man alive, I mean, I've got all kind like this, but that's not the right thing. It's supposed to be square. I haven't got any square little screwdriver. I just don't. Okay, I gotta find a tool here because when it comes time to tighten this up, it's gotta be tight. Okay, so I gave all these a try. None of them are gripping that thing. So we're gonna try my big honker tool here. So the cool thing about this tool is the edges remain parallel the whole time. That's pretty cool, eh? Well, that's one mean bone-cutting monster there, boy. So let's see if we can fit this in here because it's such a big tool. So I think I can get away with it. Let's okay, it's loose. What have I done? Okay, now we'll go to the other side. Oh yeah, right, the other side. Right. I didn't quite think that far. Okay, I got a hold of it there. It's not the loosening that's the problem, it's the tightening. Once these are a little loose, almost any tool, including my fingers, should be able to turn it. I think maybe they're, oh, so much for my pointer. Wait a minute, I need that pointer, don't I? No, I don't need the pointer during this part. Okay. That's probably enough already. Yep. Okay, now let's get back on the other camera. Oh, that's good. Well, that does look straight up now, doesn't it? Where'd that nice stick go? The stick's got a curve. Hey. Use the straight edge of the curve. Straight edge of the curve. There you go. That's the way to do it. Now, the whole deal is the camera has to be lined up perfectly for this to work too. The wire. It looks really good like that. Everything looks really good. So So I can look at this with my own eyeballs too. So I'm looking straight down from above. I'm going to have to go just a little bit further. Okay, so looking straight down from above, this is now lined right up. What's it look like on the camera? Looks like I went too far. You know, it looks a little bit like I went too far on here too. Now I gotta lock. Wait a minute, I can just do it with my finger. Just back a bit. Ooh, that's a long ways. How's that look? This is loose enough, I can just adjust it here. Are we at the end of the run? No. Oh, for crying out loud, I'm just turning the wheel on the shaft here. The front thing. The front thing. The tuning control. Actually, look at that. I can actually move it on the shaft with the tuning control. Huh. That's good. All those in favor of that being straight up. Right there. Wow, this is... Okay, let's see if we can get it. First we get like a first stage lockdown here. Okay. Yeah, I've never done this on a radio. Okay, that's first stage. Second stage lockdown. I don't think that's coming loose. You're going to put a lot of power on a tool. You can't, if the tool jams against something, you may not realize what's going on. You think it's the like what's happening to me right now. You think it's the thing you're trying to turn. Meanwhile, you're crushing something with this big tool. Anytime I do heavy duty work, I have to watch out for that. There. Well, that's really tight. Okay, so did we knock it off? Is it straight? How's it look? How does it look? Looks like I don't know how to push wires out of the way. Well, so now the whole camera's on a little bit of an angle, so yeah, I think it looks okay. Better for sure. Now, ready for next stage. Wow, we just barely got through the first one. Now, is the next stage talk about the pointer? No, the pointer up on the radio here is unimportant. Up on the radio here. Did I have the wrong camera going that whole time I was tightening that thing? Son of a gun. Both cameras that I use, I'm usually using two. Both of them, the camera images appear on my monitor over here on my left. Sometimes when I look up, I don't look at the one that's actually being recorded. I look at the other camera, and I don't realize what I'm doing. And I think, okay, that's what people are watching. Meanwhile, no, you're watching the other camera. So, if I made that mistake, I apologize. To try to avoid that, I have a big monitor up here. This always shows what's being recorded. So I just pay enough attention, and I'll be okay. If I pay enough attention. Okay, now what? Put this back up here properly. So I think we're all set now. Oh, the pointer. I had to take the pointer off. Let's put the pointer back on. I wanted this clip to be as, you know, these clips when you put them on sometimes they're just as loose and wiggly as can be. So I put this in a spot where it's kind of jammed in the corner and it's not so wiggly. It's wiggly in one direction only. And if it does get wiggled, I can snap it back to where it really was originally just by straightening it up. That's my theory there, because this pointer becomes really critical and you can't have it moving around. Let's see how we're doing here. Ooh. Is this for sure all the way? Yep. And also, to avoid parallax, you want it as close to the plate as possible. Because I'm going to use a camera, and the camera is really locked down. It shouldn't move. What do you think of that? I think it's close. Oh, don't move. Stay up this way. Clip. You know what's happening is I'm looking in the camera, in the image on my... Stop doing that. I'm watching the image and that's not helping. Let me do it more directly here. I'll look at it with my own eyeballs. Just the tip. So the wire's just a little loose now. How are we now? Ooh, that's really close. There we are, 100%. Let's check. Don't anybody touch that clip lead. Perfect. Excellent. So I think in the next step, where are we on the clock here? We're pushing 9:30. So I think what we'll do is without doing the alignment, we'll get the radio operating and we'll just check it out on AM here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Let's just go. Let's go to the next step. Go to the next step. Which is basically to turn it on. Off. Plugged in. Here, buttons. Everything's ready to go. And wrong camera. That's right, wrong camera. Okay, man. Yesterday a fellow brought me an amplifier from a Seeburg jukebox. I think we need to do that. And that's going to be on my bench eventually. I've got a number of projects lined up now. Each one's going a little slow because I seem to be stumbling on these guys. The last few I've done, I got stuck here and there. Well, let's see if my antenna wires have helped this guy out. I don't know where we're tuned, but 640 is going to be up in this area somewhere. Didn't I notice 640 was way up here and comment earlier about it? I don't know what that is. So my pointer is dragging now because the paper scale on the back is warped and sticking out. So I've turned the dial far enough. Can you see my yellow wire? That's not going to work. But there's a radio station though. So that's a good reassurance. I've got to move this wire out. I'll have to do it over again. think this is 680. Oh my gosh, what would that be? Let's check and see what we got going on. I'm tuning another radio. No, it's not 640. $590. So that's $590. But I'm pretty sure $590 should be back here somewhere. It could just be simply the pointers in the wrong spot. Does it move easy? Not really. Just for fun, let's pop in a push button. So we go push button. So now the tuning of the radio is controlled up here. And none of the buttons are pushed, so I don't know what it's tuning. Let's try one. Okay, it sounds like it's working well. Back to the VFO that's inside. I think it's ready to go for the front end alignment process here. Now, I think this is screws down through holes here, and I'll rotate it here a bit. Screws through here. No screws on the capacitor. I think that's pretty good. And then we've got these adjustments here. A couple capacitor adjustments here, I think. $9:30 in the morning. Let's go for it. So the normal alignment process is you start at the top of the short wave bands and work your way down, and the last thing you're doing is the A band. Now I'm going to break that rule. Is that going to cause a real problem? So down here on the A band there's the high-end oscillator, low-end oscillator adjustment, and I can't see how any of these would have any influence on that. Oscillator and antenna adjustments for all the short wave bands. B oscillator. C31. Now, you know, the A band has its own oscillator adjustments and its own antenna adjustment. Oh, this is up on the loop. Well, maybe there is no other broadcast band adjustment for let's see, band, the closest band would be band B, it's the next one. Band B at 9 megacycles. Something wrong there. B, 9 megacycles. But the 9 megacycle band is up here. 31 meters. B band. Okay, just because I don't want to make a mistake, I'm just going to go run, look at the radio, and check what it shows on the glass face about 9.5 megacycles on the B band. Is it there? Maybe it is there. I'll go look. So on a dial glass, it goes from 2.5 megahertz to 7. It doesn't get up to 9. So what's this doing here? 9. This is 170 degrees. Let's flip this to 170 degrees and see where the pointer ends up. 170. It's pretty much at the end of the run here, isn't it? 170. Well, on the dial would be reading about 6.5 megahertz right now, not 9.5. So this is just a typo here. You know, is this a reproduced? Don't know if this is an original document. It looks awfully clean and sharp. Everything's centered up beautifully in these columns, so I think this is a reproduction. Oh, 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 oh. See, I'm making that mistake. So I think this is a reproduction, and somebody's done a typo here. So 170 is something else. I guess we'll worry about when we get there. And it has no bearing on what I'm doing with the A band, I'm pretty sure. Oh, so we should locate these before we get going. C34 and L19. C34. Okay, C34. C34, that's this capacitor up here. See what I'm doing? I think so. C34. And just L19 right beside it. It says right on here, A oscillator 14 kilocycles, A oscillator 600 kilocycles. 14 it is. 14. Okay, I'll set this guy to 14. Here we are, 14. I guess I need to hook it up to the radio somehow, too. All these are done with this connected directly, except when you do this over capacitor here. I've got to set up a transmitting antenna to do that part. I'm okay now. Okay, now I think I'll take. Usually there's some kind of buffer on the antenna here. 300 ohm. They want 300 ohms. This is 50 ohms to start with. 300 ohms stuck in series. That's what we got to do. So, okay, I got to hunt down a resistor here.